The stars looked different this far from Earth. Captain Haiyan-Wu stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, watching the dead planet grow larger on the view screen. The world below was gray and lifeless, its atmosphere long gone. According to the Galactic Council's records, this planet once belonged to the Velthari, a civilization that went extinct 12,000 years ago. "Taking us into orbit now, Captain," said Taeyang from the tactical station. The young officer had been with Haiyan-Wu for 3 years, and his hands moved across the controls with practiced ease. Haiyan-Wu nodded and turned to the woman standing beside him. Ji-1 was the ship's xenarchaeologist, a specialist in dead civilizations. She had been excited about this mission for weeks. Her dark eyes were fixed on the planet below, and she clutched her datapad tightly. "Any signs of structures?" Haiyan-Wu asked. "Several," Ji-1 replied. "The northern continent has ruins. Big ones. I'm reading stone construction, possibly temples or archives." "Then that's where we go," Haiyan-Wu said. "Sun-Hee, prepare the landing shuttle." The engineer's voice came through the comm system. "Already on it, Captain. Should be ready in 10 minutes. 2 hours later, Haiyan-Wu and Ji-1 stood in the ruins. The Velthari had built with dark stone that resisted erosion even after millennia. Massive pillars rose toward the dusty sky, covered in strange writing that looked like flowing water frozen in rock. Ji-1 moved from pillar to pillar with her scanner, recording everything. "This is incredible," she whispered. "The preservation is remarkable. I can translate most of this." Haiyan-Wu watched her work, his hand resting on his sidearm. Dead planets made him nervous. Too quiet, too empty. What does it say? Religious texts, mostly. Prayers to their gods. Records of kings and wars. Ji-1 paused at a larger monument in the center of the ruins. Her face went pale. "Captain, you need to see this." Haiyan-Wu walked over. The monument was different from the others. The writing was deeper, carved with what must have been great effort. The same phrase repeated over and over in a spiral pattern that covered the entire surface. "What am I looking at?" Haiyan-Wu asked. Ji-1's fingers trembled as she worked her translator. "It's a warning. The same warning, repeated maybe 500 times." She looked up at him. "It says, they protect a greater nightmare." "They? Who is they?" "I don't know yet." Ji-1 moved her scanner across the base of the monument. "Wait, there's more. Star maps, coordinates." Her face went even paler. "Captain, these coordinates point to Earth." Haiyan-Wu felt a cold sensation in his stomach. "You're sure?" "Absolutely sure. The math is primitive, but accurate. This is pointing directly at our home system." Ji-1 took several more scans. There are symbols here too. Danger markers. Warnings to stay away. They returned to the ship and Haiyan-Wu sent a report to Earth Command. The response came back within hours. "Interesting historical find, continue survey mission. Report any similar discoveries." Nothing to worry about. Probably just ancient superstition or mistaken astronomy. 3 days later, the horizon's edge arrived at another dead world. This one had belonged to the Shimok, a crystalline species that went extinct 40,000 years ago. Ji-1 insisted on checking their ruins personally. "Captain, I have a theory," she said as they descended in the shuttle. "What if it's not a coincidence?" "What do you mean?" "What if other dead civilizations left the same warning?" Haiyan-Wu wanted to dismiss the idea, but something in his gut told him to listen. "Let's find out." The Shimok ruins were completely different from the Velthari. Instead of stone, they had built with crystal formations that grew into specific patterns. Their writing was based on light refraction, visible only when the sun hit the crystals at certain angles. It took Ji-1 hours to find the right position. When she did, she stopped breathing. "No," she whispered. "No, this can't be right." Haiyan-Wu saw it too. The light patterns formed words in the ancient Chimok language, and his translator picked them up instantly. The same phrase. The exact same phrase from the Volthari monument, written in a completely different language by a completely different species that had died 30,000 years apart. They protect a greater nightmare. Below the warning were more star maps. More coordinates, all pointing to Earth. Call Earth Command, Hyan Wu said quietly. Tell them we need to talk to someone higher up. This isn't ancient superstition. That night, Hyan Wu couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the warnings. Two extinct civilizations, separated by vast distances and time, both leaving the same message about Earth. What were they protecting? What nightmare were they talking about? And why didn't humanity know anything about it? He went to the bridge and found G1 still working, surrounded by holographic displays of the two monuments. Can't sleep either? He asked. She shook her head. I'd been going through the Galactic Council database. There are 17 known extinct civilizations in our part of the galaxy. 17 species that died out over the last 500,000 years. She looked at him. I want to check every single one of their home worlds. That could take months. I know. But if I'm right, if they all left the same warning. She didn't finish the sentence. Hyan Wu understood. If 17 dead civilizations all warned about Earth, then something was very wrong. Something humanity had forgotten or never known in the first place. Submit the proposal to Earth Command, he said. Make it clear this is important. In the meantime, I'll start plotting a course to the nearest extinct civilization's territory. G1 smiled, but it was a worried smile. Thank you, Captain. Don't thank me yet, Hyan Wu replied, looking at the star maps still floating in the hologram. Something tells me we're not going to like what we find. Commander Biora arrived on the horizon's edge with her team 6 weeks after Hyan Wu's initial report. She was a stern woman with sharp eyes and a reputation for getting answers. With her came Sang Min, a xenolinguist who specialized in dead languages and enough scanning equipment to fill an entire cargo bay. 17 sites, Captain, Biora said during their first briefing. Earth Command wants answers from all 17 extinct civilizations. They're taking this seriously now. Hyan Wu nodded. After finding the same warning on 5 different dead worlds, Earth Command had finally stopped dismissing his reports. The Galactic Council was also paying attention, though their messages carry an edge of suspicion that Hyan Wu didn't like. We'll need to split up, Biora continued. I'll take a team to the Chakra home world. You continue with the Hydral sites. Sang Min will rotate between teams to verify translations. Over the next 3 months, the teams worked across the galaxy. Each new discovery made the mystery deeper and more frightening. Sang Min stood in the burial chambers of the Chakra, an insectoid species that had built elaborate hive cities before vanishing 18,000 years ago. The walls were covered in frescoes, painted with pigments that had somehow survived the ages. He studied them carefully, his translator working overtime to decode the complex symbolic language. This can't be right, he muttered. Checking his readings again, the fresco showed something massive and dark, buried deep underground. The Chakra had painted it as a void, an absence of light and matter that hurt to look at even in artistic form. Around this darkness, tiny figures that looked like early humans stood guard. Above the scene, written in ancient Chakra script, was a phrase Sang Min had seen too many times now. They protect a greater nightmare. But these frescoes showed more. They depicted the humans making some kind of agreement, a pact with older beings. The older beings were shown dying or fading away, while the humans remained. The final image showed Earth with chains wrapped around it, chains that extended deep into the planet's core. Biora, you need to see this, Sang Min called on his cum. 2,000 light years away, G1 was having similar revelations. The Hydral had been an aquatic species, building their civilization in vast underwater cities. Their ruins were flooded and dark, but G1's team had brought underwater drones equipped with powerful lights. The drones found a central archive, a massive chamber where the Hydral had carved their final records into walls of compressed coral. The writing was beautiful, flowing like ocean currents, but the message was terrifying. Earth was called the Warden Planet in multiple passages. The Hydral described something sleeping beneath the surface, something they called the Devouring Darkness. They wrote that ancient humans had accepted a burden that no other species could carry, becoming guardians of a prison that must never be opened. How did ancient humans do this? G1 wondered aloud. Human civilization is only 10,000 years old. These records are talking about events from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Our assistant, a young researcher named Taeyang's sister Minji, pointed to another section of the wall. Look at this. They mention other species. The Valthari, the Shamak, others we found. They say all of them worked together to build the prison, but all of them are gone now. Only the humans remain. Back on Earth, Ambassador Young-Sik was having the worst day of his career. The Galactic Council had summoned him for an emergency session, and the mood in the chamber was hostile. "You lied to us," said Councilor Vrikina, a tall being with 4 arms and skin like polished metal. 20 years of contact, 20 years of trade and diplomacy, and you never mentioned that your planet is some kind of prison. "We didn't know," Young-Sik protested. "I swear to you, humanity has no records of this. Our oldest civilizations go back maybe 10,000 years. Whatever these warnings are about, they predate human history. Or you've hidden the truth," hissed Gadak, the Torm representative. The Tormar were a militant species, always quick to see threats. Perhaps humanity has been planning something all along. Security Chief Mekyung stepped forward. She had accompanied Young-Sik to provide protection, but now she spoke up. "We're victims of this mystery too. Our people are scared. Every day we get messages from the survey teams finding more warnings. And we have no answers to give our own population." Scientist Junho, the third member of the Earth delegation, brought up a holographic display. "We've analyzed all 17 warnings now. They span 500,000 years. The oldest is from a species that went extinct before modern humans even existed. The newest is from the Velthari, only 12,000 years ago. Every single one points to Earth and uses almost identical language. What does it mean?" demanded Councilor Vrikina. "We don't know," Junho admitted, "but we're trying to find out. We've started deep scans of Earth itself, looking for anything unusual beneath the surface." "That's not good enough," Gadak said. "The Council demands answers. We have billions of citizens across hundreds of worlds. If Earth represents some existential threat, we have a right to know. We have a right to protect ourselves." Young-Sik felt the weight of those words. He had been a diplomat for 30 years, and he knew a veiled threat when he heard one. "We're cooperating fully. Give us time." "Time," Gadak repeated coldly. "You have 3 months. If humanity cannot explain these warnings by then, the Council will take action. Quarantine at minimum. Possibly more." After the session ended, Mi Kyung pulled Young-Sik aside. "They're scared. Really scared. And scared people do stupid things." "I know," Young-Sik said. "Get a message to Captain Hyanwoo and Commander Baora. Tell them to hurry. Tell them everything depends on finding the truth, and soon." On the horizon's edge, Hyanwoo received the message and gathered his senior staff. G1 looked exhausted from months of research. Taeyang's face was grim. Sunhee had been working around the clock to keep their scanning equipment running. 3 months, Hyanwoo said. The Council is giving us 3 months to figure out what 17 extinct civilizations we're warning about. After that, things get bad. Then, we stop investigating dead worlds, G1 said suddenly. We go to Earth. We need to find out what's actually there. Earth has been scanned 1,000,000 times, Taeyang pointed out. Not deeply enough, G1 countered. Not with the right equipment? Not looking for the right things. She brought up her own holographic display, showing data compiled from all 17 dead civilizations. Every warning mentions something underground, something deep. If there's an answer, it's beneath our own feet. Hyenwu made his decision. Set course for Earth, maximum speed, and pray we find something before the Council runs out of patience. The Joint Investigation Fleet arrived at Earth on a cold morning in October. Captain Hyenwu watched from the bridge as 12 ships took up positions around the planet. Half were human vessels, but the others belonged to the Galactic Council. Leading them was Overseer Krelinak, a reptilian diplomat known for being fair but cautious. Welcome to Earth, Overseer, Hyenwu said over the com channel. Krelinak's sail face appeared on the screen. Thank you, Captain. I hope we find answers today. For all our sakes. The investigation began immediately. Geologist Hei-1 had been pulled from her research position at Seoul University to join the team. She was brilliant and spoke quickly when excited, which was most of the time. Historian Dong-han came with her, an older man who specialized in ancient human civilizations. We should start with the deepest places, Hei-1 said at the first briefing. The Mariana Trench, the Kola borehole, anywhere humans have dug or explored deep underground. What about ancient sites? Dong-han added. Places like Göbekli Tepe or the Nazca Lines, structures that predate recorded civilization. Over 3 weeks, they searched. The Mariana Trench revealed nothing unusual. The Kola borehole, the deepest hole ever drilled by humans, showed normal geological layers. Ancient sites across the world yielded interesting historical data, but nothing that explained the warnings. Krelinak was growing impatient. We're running out of time, Captain Hyenwu. The Council wants results. We're doing everything we can, Hyenwu replied. Then Sun-Hee found something. The engineer had been analyzing satellite data from Antarctica, looking for thermal anomalies beneath the ice. Captain, there's something under the eastern ice sheet. 3 kilometers down. It's giving off a faint energy signature. Ice doesn't generate energy, Hei-1 said, looking at the readings. This is artificial. Within days, they had established a drilling camp on the ice. The work was slow and dangerous. The temperature outside was -40 degrees, and the wind could knock a person off their feet. But they kept drilling, going deeper and deeper. On the 37th day of drilling, they broke through into a cavity. There's open space down there, Sun-Hee reported, staring at her instruments. A large chamber, and the energy signature is much stronger now. They assembled a descent team, Hyenwu, Hei-1, Dong-han, Krelinak, and 4 security officers including Mi-kyung. The elevator ride down through the ice took 2 hours. When they reached the bottom, they found themselves in a tunnel carved from the bedrock itself. Look at the walls, Dong-han whispered, running his hand along the smooth stone. This wasn't made by human tools. It's too precise, too old. The tunnel led to a massive structure built deep in the rock. It was like nothing Hyenwu had ever seen. The architecture combined elements from dozens of different styles. Some he recognized from the extinct civilizations they had studied. Velthari pillars stood next to Shamak crystal formations. Chakra geometric patterns covered walls inscribed with hydral flowing script. This is impossible, Krelinak said softly. These species never met. They existed thousands of years apart. But they all built this together somehow, Hei-1 said. Look at how the different sections connect. This was planned, coordinated. They moved deeper into the structure. The energy signature grew stronger with each step. Sun-He scanners were going crazy, showing readings that didn't make sense. This energy, it's not like anything in our database. It's going down into the mantle, miles and miles down. The central chamber was enormous, easily the size of a football stadium. In the center stood a pillar made of the same mixed architecture as the rest of the structure. But this pillar was covered in writing. Thousands of languages, maybe millions, carved into every available surface. Sang-min had joined them via remote link, his image projected by a hovering drone. He scanned the writing with awe and terror on his face. This is addressed to someone specific, to the inheritors of the Warden Pact, to humanity. What does it say? Hyan-Woo demanded. Sang-min's voice shook as he translated. It's the complete history. 600,000 years ago, something came to this galaxy. They call it the Hollow King. It consumed everything. Entire worlds, entire civilizations. It ate matter and energy and thought itself. Nothing could stop it. Krellenak's scales had gone pale. Go on. 17 civilizations banded together. They found a way to trap the Hollow King, to imprison it. But they needed a prison world, somewhere the entity could be contained. They chose Earth, a primitive planet with early hominids. And they did something to those early humans. They changed them. Engineered them. Into what? Hyan-Woo asked, though he was starting to understand. Into jailers, Sang-min said. The perfect species to guard the prison. Aggressive enough to fight anything that threatened it, but empathetic enough to never willingly release what was inside. The 17 civilizations poured everything they had into creating humanity and building this prison. And then they died. Died how? Mi-kyung asked. Dong Hyan had found another section of text. His face was white. According to this, the Hollow King has servants, beings that escaped or were sent out before the imprisonment. Every time one of the 17 civilizations tried to destroy the prison, to eliminate the threat permanently, these servants came. They wiped out entire species to keep the prison intact. That's why they all went extinct, Haewon realized. They all tried to destroy Earth, to kill the Hollow King, and they all died for it. The implications hung in the air like poison. Humanity existed because ancient aliens had engineered them to be prison guards. Earth itself was a cage for something that had consumed galaxies. And every species that tried to break that cage was destroyed. How stable is the prison now? Krellenak asked quietly. Sun-He checked her scanners, and her expression turned to horror. It's not stable. The energy signature is fluctuating. Our drilling, our scanning, our presence here, it's all causing damage to the structure. The prison is failing. As if to confirm her words, the ground shook. A deep rumbling sound came from far below, so low it was more feeling than sound. The lights in the structure flickered. We need to leave, Mi-kyung said. Now. But before they could move, every screen and scanner in the chamber activated at once. They showed seismic readings from across the planet. Major earthquakes on 5 continents. Volcanic activity spiking worldwide. The ocean currents shifting. And deep beneath it all, something was moving. Something was waking up. Contact the surface, Hyan-Woo ordered. Tell them we have an emergency. The prison is breaking. Krellenak was already on his communicator, speaking rapidly to his ship. Hyan-Woo caught fragments of the conversation and felt his blood run cold. The Tomar fleet. Approaching Earth. Planet-cracking weapons armed. What's happening? Hyan-Woo demanded. Krellenak's face was twisted with regret and fear. The Council didn't trust that we'd find answers in time. Admiral Giduk convinced them that the risk was too great. They're going to destroy Earth and the Hollow King together before it can wake up fully. They'll kill 8 billion people. Haewon gasped. They believe it's necessary to save trillions, Krulanak said. I argued against it, but I was outvoted. The structure shook again, harder this time. Cracks appeared in the ancient walls, and from deep below came a sound like laughter, if laughter could be the sound of stars dying. How long until the Tamara arrive? Hyan Wu asked. They're already in orbit, Krulanak said quietly. They're preparing to fire now. In orbit above Earth, Tactical Officer Tai Yang watched the Tormar fleet approach with growing dread. 20 massive warships, each one carrying enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. The human defense fleet had only 7 vessels, and they were designed for exploration and light combat, not planetary defense. Captain Hyan Wu, you need to see this, Tai Yang transmitted to the surface dot in the Antarctic structure. Hyan Wu's communicator lit up with tactical displays. His heart sank. The Tormar fleet was arranging itself in a bombardment formation, weapons charging. He could see the energy signatures building. How long do we have? He asked. 20 minutes, maybe less, Tai Yang replied. The fleet commander is Admiral Giduk. He's not responding to hails. On Earth's surface, Security Chief Mai Kyung was already coordinating the defense. She had pulled every available military asset into position, but everyone knew it was hopeless. Earth's weapons were designed for planetary conflicts, not fighting a fleet of advanced warships. We can't win this fight, she told Ambassador Young-sik over the comm. Even if we had 100 ships, we couldn't win. Young-sik was in the council chambers, still trying to negotiate. Please, give us more time. We found the prison. We're analyzing it. We can find a solution. But Council of Rekina shook his head. The decision is made, Ambassador. The risk is too great. We're sorry. Below the Antarctic ice, the ancient structure continued to shake. Sunhee's instruments showed the energy signature from the depths spiking higher and higher. Whatever was down there, it was responding to the damage, to the intrusion, to the fear and violence building above. The prison is collapsing, Hwan said, watching her geological scanners. All our activity has weakened it. It was barely holding together before we started drilling. Dong Hyan was still reading the ancient texts carved into the walls. There's more here. Instructions. Warnings about what would happen if the prison failed. Tell me, Hyan Wu said. The historian's voice shook as he translated. If the Hollow King escapes, it will consume this galaxy first, then spread to others. It feeds on matter, energy, and consciousness. It will eat stars, planets, entire civilizations. And it will keep spreading until there's nothing left in the universe but emptiness. Sam Min's remote projection added more details. The 17 civilizations knew the prison wouldn't last forever. They built it to buy time. Time for humanity to evolve, to understand their purpose, and to find a permanent solution. What solution? Hyan Wu demanded. What were we supposed to do? It doesn't say, Sang Min admitted. The text ends with instructions to search our own biology. The answer is supposedly in our genes, and what we were designed to be. Above them, the first Tomar planet cracker missiles launched. Taeyang watched the missiles arc down toward Earth. Their warheads glowing with barely contained energy. Each one could penetrate deep underground and release enough force to shatter tectonic plates. 20 missiles. More than enough to crack Earth open like an egg. Firing defensive batteries, he reported. Though he knew it was futile, Earth's orbital platforms opened fire, trying to intercept the missiles. Some were destroyed, but most got through. The first impacts hit the Pacific Ocean, the Sahara Desert, Siberia. The explosions were enormous, visible from space as balls of fire and debris. The planet shuddered. Earthquakes rippled across every continent. Tsunamis formed in the oceans. And in Antarctica, the ancient structure began to collapse. Get everyone out, Haiyan Wu shouted, but it was too late. The chamber floor cracked open, and something dark began to seep through. It wasn't liquid or gas or any form of matter that made sense. It was absence, a void that swallowed light and heat and thought itself. Ha-Wun screamed and stumbled back. Mi-Kyung grabbed her and pulled her toward the exit. Krellinak was frozen, staring at the darkness with his reptilian eyes wide with primal terror. "Move!" Haiyan Wu yelled, shoving the overseer toward the tunnel. They ran. Behind them, the darkness spread, consuming the ancient structure. The walls dissolved into nothing. The carved texts that held 500,000 years of history vanished as if they had never existed. The darkness grew, spreading up through the ice, reaching toward the surface. On the horizon's edge, Sun-Hee detected the new readings and felt her blood turn to ice. "Captain, the entity is breaching. It's coming up through the Antarctic ice sheet." Around the world, people looked up at the sky as reality itself began to warp. The stars flickered and twisted. Space seemed to fold in on itself. Those who looked at the darkness directly felt their thoughts unravel, their memories eaten away. In the council chambers, Council of Ricana realized their terrible mistake. "What have we done?" "Exactly what the Hollow King wanted," Young Sik said bitterly. "Every civilization that tried to destroy the prison was destroyed. You just joined that list." Admiral Gitok, watching from his flagship, saw the darkness spreading and understood that his weapons had only made things worse. He ceased fire, but the damage was done. The prison was broken. The Hollow King was free. The entity rose from the depths of Earth like a dark sunrise. It had no true form, existing in more dimensions than human eyes could perceive. What people saw was just a shadow, a hint of something vast and hungry that defied comprehension. It began to feed. The first things to vanish were the Tormar missiles still in flight. They simply ceased to exist, consumed by the darkness. Then the orbital platforms. Then one of the Tormar warships that had gotten too close. The entire vessel, 5 kilometers long and carrying 12,000 crew, was eaten in seconds. No explosion, no debris. Just gone. All ships retreat. Keaton ordered, but he knew it was too late. In the Antarctic tunnel, Haiyan Wu and his team had nearly reached the surface elevator when the darkness caught up to them. It flowed through the tunnel like intelligent water, reaching out with tendrils of absolute void. One of the security officers was too slow. A tendril touched him, and he vanished. Not killed, but erased. Removed from existence so completely that Haiyan Wu couldn't even remember his name. They made it to the elevator and shot upward through the ice. Behind them, the entire Antarctic structure was consumed. 3 kilometers of ancient construction, the combined legacy of 17 civilizations, gone in minutes. When they reached the surface, they found chaos. The ice sheet was cracking open, massive rifts forming as the darkness pushed up from below. Their ship hovered overhead, but even from this distance, they could see the darkness beginning to spread across the planet's surface. "Captain, we need to evacuate," Sun-Hee said over the com. "The entity is spreading fast. At this rate, it will consume the entire planet in hours, maybe less." But Haiyan Wu couldn't move. He stood at the edge of the rift, staring down into the absolute darkness, and felt something stir in his mind. A memory that wasn't his. Knowledge that came from somewhere deep in his genetic code. "We were designed for this," he whispered. "What?" "Hey," one asked, grabbing his arm. Haiyan Wu turned to look at her, and his eyes were filled with terrible understanding. "The solution. It's in us. In what we are. The 17 civilizations designed humanity to be the one species that could understand the Hollow King, that could mirror its nature. We're not just the guards. We're the cage itself." Above them, more Tormar ships were vanishing into the darkness. Below them, Earth was dying. And Hyan Wu knew what had to be done, even though the knowledge filled him with horror. "Get me a connection to every human on Earth," he said. "Every human in the colonies. Everyone. I need to talk to all of them at once." "Captain, what are you planning?" Mi Kyung asked. Hyan Wu looked at the spreading darkness, at the entity that would consume the universe if left unchecked. Something that will either save everything or doom us all. Ji-1 was the one who found the final piece of the puzzle. While Hyan Wu prepared his broadcast to humanity, she had gone deeper into the structure's archive, racing against time as the darkness consumed everything around her. Her drone barely made it back before the entire section collapsed. "Captain, I found it," she gasped, uploading the data. The complete specifications. What humanity was designed to do. Hyan Wu reviewed the files in seconds, his enhanced neural implant processing information at incredible speed. What he read confirmed his worst fears and gave him a terrible hope. Humanity wasn't bred to fight the Hollow King. Humanity was bred to become one with it. The 17 civilizations had understood that the entity couldn't be killed or permanently imprisoned. It was too fundamental, too woven into the fabric of reality itself. So they had created a species with a unique capability, a biological and psychological structure that could mirror the Hollow King's own fragmented nature. Humans were contradictory by design, violent yet compassionate, selfish yet capable of tremendous sacrifice, tribal yet yearning for universal connection. These weren't flaws. These were engineered features, allowing humans to comprehend something that should have been incomprehensible. Every human carries dormant genetic sequences, G1 explained quickly. When activated simultaneously across the whole species, we form a neural network, a collective consciousness capable of containing the Hollow King's awareness. We become its prison, Hyan Wu said. Not stone and energy, but living minds. Yes, but Captain, the cost is enormous. The projections say at least 10% mortality from the initial strain, and the survivors will carry a piece of the entity's consciousness for the rest of their lives. Hyan Wu looked at the darkness spreading across Earth's surface. Cities were vanishing. Billions would die if they did nothing. The entire galaxy would follow. Prepare the broadcast, he said. Son dash. He set up the equipment, her hands shaking. This will reach every human device on Earth and in the colonies. 8 billion people. Are you sure about this, Captain? No, Hyan Wu admitted. But I don't see another choice. The broadcast went out on every frequency, every channel, every device. Hyan Wu stood before the camera, battered and exhausted, with the Antarctic darkness visible behind him. My name is Captain Hyan Wu. Most of you don't know me, but in the next few minutes, I'm going to ask you to trust me with your life. With all our lives. He explained everything. The extinct civilizations, the warnings, the Hollow King, the truth about humanity's origin and purpose. He showed them the ancient archives, the texts, the genetic specifications. He didn't hide the cost. 10% of us will die when we make this connection. 800 million people. And the rest of us will be changed forever. We'll carry a piece of this entity inside our minds for as long as we live. It will be a burden unlike anything humanity has ever faced. Around the world, people watched in horror and disbelief. In Seoul, a teacher named Su Jin held her students close. In New York, a doctor named Jae Won looked at his patients and wondered who would survive. On a colony ship near Mars, farmers and engineers and children all received the same terrible message. But if we do nothing, Hyan Wu continued, everyone dies. Earth, the colonies, the Galactic Council, every living thing in the universe eventually. This is what we were made for. This is why we exist. The 17 civilizations gave up everything to create us for this one purpose. He paused, letting the weight of his next words sink in. I can't force you. I won't force you. This has to be your choice. In 30 seconds, I'm going to activate the genetic trigger. If you want to participate, if you consent to this, just think yes when you feel the connection opening. If enough of us agree, we can cage the Hollow King in our collective consciousness. If not, then we die together. Scientist Junho was monitoring the global response. Captain, we're getting billions of messages. Most are saying yes. Most isn't enough, Haiyan-Wu said. We need almost everyone. The 30 seconds felt like an eternity. Haiyan-Wu thought about all the people he was asking to sacrifice. The children who would die. The families that would be torn apart. The fundamental change to human consciousness that could never be undone. But he also thought about the alternative. The universe consumed by darkness. Every star extinguished. Every mind devoured. The end of everything. He activated the trigger. Around the world, 8 billion people felt something awaken in their minds. A connection forming, linking consciousness to consciousness in a vast network that spanned planets. It was terrifying and beautiful, feeling 8 billion different perspectives, 8 billion hearts beating as one. The response came like a wave of light against darkness. Yes, billions of voices speaking in unison, accepting the burden, choosing sacrifice over extinction. The transformation began. Haiyan-Wu felt his individual identity dissolving into something larger. He was still himself, but he was also Gi-Wan and Taeyang and Sun-He and billions of others. He felt the terror of people facing death, the courage of those who chose to stand anyway, the love of parents holding children, the grief of those saying goodbye. And he felt the Hollow King. It was vast beyond comprehension, hungry beyond imagining. It had consumed galaxies, devoured civilizations, eaten the light of 1 trillion stars. It was entropy given consciousness. The heat death of the universe made manifest and malicious, but it had never encountered something like humanity before. The collective human consciousness reached out and embraced the entity, not fighting it, not resisting it, but accepting it, welcoming it into 8 billion minds that understood contradiction, that lived with darkness and light intertwined every day. The Hollow King tried to consume them, to eat their thoughts and memories and selves. But you cannot consume what freely gives itself. You cannot devour minds that choose to be your cage. The entity found itself trapped not in stone or energy, but in consciousness itself. 8 billion human minds formed a living prison, each one a chain binding the darkness. Each one a guard that understood what it guarded because they carried a piece of it within themselves. The cost was terrible. Across Earth and the colonies, 800 million people died in an instant. Their minds couldn't handle the strain of containing even a fraction of the Hollow King's awareness. Families lost members. Cities lost populations. The grief was overwhelming, but the rest survived. 7 billion humans, transformed forever. Each one now carried a tiny piece of the entity within their consciousness. They would live with that darkness for the rest of their lives, fighting to keep it contained, to maintain the cage through sheer willpower and unity. The darkness that had been spreading across Earth stopped, retreated, pulled back into the collective human psyche. The planet was scarred, continents damaged, billions dead, but the Hollow King was imprisoned again. In orbit, Admiral Gaetuk watched in stunned silence as the impossible happened. The entity that had consumed 3 of his ships, that had been spreading to devour the galaxy, was being pulled back and contained by the very species he had tried to destroy. Stand down all weapons, he ordered quietly. Send medical aid to Earth. Everything we have. Ambassador Young-Sik stood in the council chambers, tears streaming down his face. He had felt the connection, felt the 8 billion voices choosing sacrifice. They did it, he whispered. They actually did it. Council of Rikana looked at him with something like awe and horror. At what cost? Everything. Young Sikh replied. In Antarctica, Hyanwu collapsed to his knees. He was still connected to the collective consciousness, still feeling the weight of 7 billion other minds and the dark presence they all contained together. He would feel it for the rest of his life. Heiwan knelt beside him, her own eyes distant with the same burden. Is it done? It's done, Hyanwu said. But it will never truly be done. We have to maintain this connection. This prison, forever. Every human born from now on will inherit this burden. In the weeks that followed, humanity began to recover. The Galactic Council offered aid, though they maintained a careful distance. The Tuamar, chastened by their near destruction of everything, sent reparations and apologies. But Earth was different now. Every human could feel the connection to every other human, a quiet awareness in the back of their minds. And deeper still, they felt the darkness they contained. The Hollow King, trapped in their collective consciousness, always pressing against the cage, always testing for weakness. New monuments were built across Earth. Not warnings this time, but promises. Humanity accepted their role as wardens of the greatest nightmare the universe had ever known. They would stand guard, generation after generation, carrying the burden that 17 extinct civilizations had created them to bear. Captain Hyanwu stood at one of these monuments, looking up at the stars. Beside him, G1 and the other survivors of the Antarctic mission paid their respects to the 800 million who had died. Do you think we'll ever find a permanent solution? G1 asked. The 17 civilizations hoped we would. Hyanwu felt the weight of 7 billion minds connected to his, all of them thinking the same thought. Maybe. Someday. But until then, we stand watch. Ambassador Young Sikh gave humanity's official statement to the Galactic Council 3 months later. His words were broadcast across the galaxy.